mystery and horror, the air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello, all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive, factoid-filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your mistress of ceremonies, Sam. And with me, as always, is Dan from Bleeding Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
Hello, Dan.
Do you know what I've said, mistress of ceremonies, and nobody is going to get that I only pointed this out until later on.
I was just thinking that. Oh, God, the future.
The future and the past, we are dealing with time travel, people.
Oh.
But today,
my brain hurts.
We have majorly confused people with this episode, and I apologize in advance. We were scheduled to do another episode, but that fell through. But it is happening. It's just going to be in a few weeks' time.
Yes.
But I said in the chat we were doing Frankenstein. We are not today.
No.
We are doing probably one of the scariest, in my opinions, because we all know I hate the subject matter, scariest monsters in Hollywood. Scariest.
This is a challenge for you, I am aware.
I've eaten as well, so I am fully aware that this could go south very quickly.
Have you got a bucket? Or a bin?
I've got something. We're all good. I have a carrier bag over here. We're all good. So yeah, today's episode is all about Hannibal Lecter. Oh, sorry, a doctor, Hannibal Lecter, MD.
DDS. PQR.
Oh, what was it on Red Dwarf? Remy used to do his swimming certificate.
Oh, God. My mum.
Silver swimming certificate.
My mum literally has ISG1 after hers. And it's her ice skating grade 1 certificate from when she was a kid. No one questions it. She's got her own business. But I think she went to the Rimmer School of Letters after her name. So
it's where he goes, what was it like? He like repeats them up and he goes, bronze swimming certificate, silver swimming certificate. Oh, today's episode is taking a turn and we haven't even gotten into it yet. So I'll do the disclaimer and we'll crack on. So everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us in the Facebook group where we can have an open discussion. What we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong. We can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of her nerdism.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. In the words of Dan, don't be a dick. So, sorry, we're going to do it again. Dr. Hannibal Lecter, MD. We should, he got his doctorate. We should be respecting that.
Yes.
So, Dr. Hannibal Lecter, it was created by Thomas Harris, has been played by 5 different actors in film and TV. He is the smart-ass, walking, talking cannibal. We ask tonight if the lambs have stopped screaming as we bring you Dr. Hannibal Lecter. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so I can get my notes in order now.
I've never been more in line with the thought of, it's not the eating, but I like there's this quote that they have.
Yeah.
Eat the rude. The quote, eat the rude. And I just think that's a fantastic quote. Not that I would, but I just think that there's such a refined, with both of the ones that people know, which is Anthony Hopkins and obviously Mads Mikkelsen's version.
Yes.
They have such a refined elegance about them because of the way they were supposed to be brought up in the storyline, because you're more a favour of the books than me, but the little bits that I have found I didn't know, and that explains so much. the whole how he was born into some sort of very wealthy family, and he was Lithuanian.
Yeah, he's Eastern European.
Yeah, and his parents died, so he moved in with his aunt or something.
Yeah.
And she was incredibly rich, and she taught him how to enjoy fine dining and fine wines and have a certain expectation of how to eat food and how to act and propriety and things like that. So when you watch the movies now, it takes a little, you notice things more about how he's very like, how Hannibal doesn't like it when people are rude, and he chastises them quite heavily if they are.
Very
especially
heavily.
when with Ray Liotta, we won't go into that bit yet, but where he tells him off. Now, that's very rude. I won't have that at my table, you know. No, and it's like
he's he has a very. We talked about it in the Gary Oldman episode when we covered a bit of Mason. But he has a code, and the code really just goes down to how he was brought up and the I'm looking for the way to present himself as a gentleman.
I would say he's the epitome of. I mean, now I know he's from Lithuania. Obviously, I always thought he was British because Anthony Hopkins, because that's just where your brain goes to. Because he's I know he has a hint of the Americans in his accent, but Anthony Hopkins, I just thought to myself, as Hannibal, he plays incredibly British and incredibly well. That upper echelon of society accent, you know, that whole.
Well, you think it's like the Queen's English, don't you? It's like that's that level. However, if you watch back again, very Welsh in some parts.
Yeah, well,
his Welsh accent does slip up from time to time, but you have to be really listening, and because of everything that's going on within, you kind of like I can just pick it up ever so slightly. But if I just run through the guys who have actually played Anthony Hopkins,
Anthony Hopkins,
he's played himself, who have played Hannibal Lecter, because I don't know if a lot of people know that, because everyone does just associate Lecter with Anthony Hopkins, and now obviously through the TV series Mads Mikkelsen. But you have Hopkins, you have the amazing Brian Cox, Mads Mikkelsen, Gasparth Ulil,
I think
Aaron,
he was
Aaron Thomas. Them two are both in Hannibal Rising. They play younger and older Hannibal. Which one movie we will not be talking about because I have not seen it. I don't want to see it either.
I'm the same. I kept looking at it and I kept thinking, do I want to do it? And then I was like, no, I really don't, because it's going to take away everything that I like, the mystery of not knowing much.
Yeah.
In that respect. And obviously, Thomas Harris has already said it's not his finest work. He doesn't like it. It was a rush job.
He was forced into it, and when you're forcing someone in to do something, that's not the true depiction of where he wanted his character to start from. I don't think, anyway.
Yeah, because he did offer an apology. He told everybody he was really and sincerely sorry for it.
He offered people money back.
So, I mean, in that opinion, if the guy who wrote it, who wrote the original, well, I say the original trilogy, but you know what I mean, the three, you know, had his fingers in those pies, and then he cranked out a fourth, and he was like, don't watch it, it's dog shit, have your money back. You know, you're going to go, all right, I'm going to take your advice on that one.
I'm going to stay far away from that as I possibly fucking can. I wasn't too thrilled about the Hannibal Rising anyway, regardless of that, because there is a level of, why can't I get my words out tonight? There is a level of like secrecy that I quite like about Hannibal.
Yeah.
I like that. Don't get us wrong. You do get to find out a bit more about him in Red Dragon and Hannibal. And when I talk about him, I am simply only referencing books and movies because I'm not versed up on Hannibal, the TV series. I watched the first one and I said to Dan last night, that is not my Will Graham.
Yeah, see, I think I've seen all 3 seasons, but I don't remember season 3 that well.
I've not.
For me, in the TV series, I will quickly touch upon it now, but we're not really going to go into detail about it, is the kills. The way that, because they have the budget, I mean, they had the budget on the movies don't get me wrong. But the kills in the TV series were unlike anything you'd seen in the movies because it's Hannibal on the run. Hannibal in prison. So you don't get to see his work that much.
No, absolutely not.
And with this being the Red Dragon evolution, before he gets caught, you get to see some absolutely mental things that Mads does. And it's like the human totem pole was one of the most grotesque.
Why does that make me laugh? I'm so sorry.
Well, what he does is he takes 7 bodies and he dismembers them all and makes them into a totem pole. And there's something really beautiful about it, but it's like the closer you get, the more you realise what it is you're looking at. And he used bodies from like 1700s up to a brand new kill on this totem pole.
Wow.
And it's like Will Graham's trying to dissect the purpose of it and stuff like that. And that episode, I think season 1, episode 9. So you can even find just that scene on YouTube if you look hard enough, but it's one of those ones which that stuck with me the most out of pretty much all the kills. There was just something about it that made you go, that's beautiful. What am I looking at?
Oh, well, what the fuck is that? Well, is that a hand? Is that a foot? I remember in the first season there being some beauty. Like I don't know why something with antlers is like sticking out in my head. They can be a bit more creative on the TV show because they have the time to flesh it out and make it more beautiful. I just remember watching it and they made out that Will was some sort of like crazy fucking genius. And he's not. The only reason Will is as good as he is because of Lecter. And they give far too much credit to Will that he did this, like these amazing things without him. No. If you watch Red Dragon, the first scene with great Edward Norton and Anthony Hopkins when they're in the study together, they're bouncing off each other, and he knows the answer. Obviously, knows the answer because it's him, but he's still coaching him, and getting him to get there by himself. And it was just, and if you notice, the first time when he realizes that it's him, when he looks into the cookbook and he sees the actual, and he sees it, that was an accident. He wasn't looking for that book. Graham, Will Graham is not this like massive. Yes, he's very intelligent and he's very good and he's investigation skills, but he's not fucking psycho crazy like genius level that they made him out to be in the TV show. And that's what was infuriating us. If they toned him down a bit, it was almost like he was cursed. Oh my God, I'm so cursed with this ability.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that is not what Will Graham's like. And it was so fucking annoying.
The thing with the TV series and the antlers was they used the analogy of a Wendigo. So that they were trying to compare Lecter to a Wendigo because he skins the victims, takes his time, eats them. You know, that's what the Wendigo does. You know, it tortures the victim because the fear makes the meat taste better and things like that. So they use that. So you see like Mads all black with antlers quite a lot because it's his spirit projection. I don't know. But it's that's the idea that I think they're getting at. Obviously open to interpretation, but
my face is already starting to go paler. I can see it. I will get through this. Have I ever spoke about Silence of the Lambs? I think I can't remember if I have. I've done so many episodes of podcasting. I generally can't remember what I've talked about now and again, but I feel like my stomach's going to do a few turns in this episode.
Would I be right? Go on. Sorry.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, would I be right in saying the trilogy goes Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, and then Hannibal?
Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because Hannibal, he's escaped, hasn't he, after Clarice?
Yeah, because he escapes at the end of Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure it out, and for some reason my brain was going, I don't know if that's right or not.
It's weird because Hannibal came out first and then Red Dragon came out afterwards. Because at the end of Silence of the Lambs he's going, I'm going to have an old friend over for dinner.
That's it. Yep.
Yes, and then Yeah, it is. But he's well gone by the time Clarice. She's not even looking for him. Did you know that actually after the end of Hannibal, Anthony Hopkins wrote his own screenplay for the end of Hannibal? Oh, what was it called? Hannibal. I've got it on my computer somewhere. It was like Hannibal's End or something. Killing Lecter. No, Hannibal Ending. That's what it was called. Hannibal Ending. And it was going to be Clarice finally having her day with him and ending his life. And it didn't get used.
But I mean, I know the book finishes it off completely different. From when I've gone through, it's the relationship between Clarice and Lecter becomes something more.
Yeah, there is something there.
Yeah,
you see it kind of like hinted at the in the end, especially in the kitchen a lot. And he is very protective over this, and because in his eyes, if you look at it from his perspective, he's only killing these people. Take the cannibalism out of it for a minute. He's only killing these people because of their imperfections and because of rudeness. She's not like that. He still has feelings. He still is a person. And he does have a lot of affection for her because she had a lot of affection for him in just the way she was with him. She wasn't scared of him.
No.
She didn't treat him like a fool or an idiot. She treated him like a normal human being. So there is some sort of like affection there that is already planted well before we get into Hannibal.
I thought it was more like a mutual respect than a lover thing, though. So for me, when I found out that they turn into lovers or partners, because one of the ends is she elopes with him in the book, and they go because the FBI obviously said do one love, and in the book she elopes with Hannibal, and they run into the distance, as lovers, and it's like that to me is peculiar because all the way through he just, for me, he held her in such a good place. It seemed to ruin it when I heard that. I was like, oh, it felt
almost like father and daughter.
Yes, I just didn't. That made me feel incredibly uncomfortable when I read that. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Because it is a sense of father and daughter. It's like how he was with Will.
He never gave off that sexual tension. No. There was none of that. It was more so like he was always trying to protect her by giving her the clues and giving her he gave her the time of day, and it was like that for him is precious.
Letting her figure it out, and that's what he did with Will. He never told Will anything. But he would always point him in the right direction, because if we go back to Red Dragon,
we'll start with that one.
We'll start with Red Dragon, because I can fucking talk a yarn on this one. I don't even need fucking notes for this. With Red Dragon, I'll take from the actual film, because the book, to be honest, is very fucking similar.
Yeah,
there's not a great deal difference.
And the chances are more people have seen the film than read the
book.
I'm thinking. I could be wrong, but you never know.
The opening of this movie is absolutely spectacular. After the initial scene with them two and the storybook of newspaper clippings to get you up to date is just absolutely brilliant. And obviously it's a very quick way to get to know somebody.
Yeah.
Without having to actually watch it being played out. Because Will he's a detective, and he solved a very big case with the help of Dr. Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
And he's now on this other big case of people who was the last person to go missing because they ate him at that dinner and he got captured. He was a cellarist or something, or a violinist.
Well, I found out today that might not have been the case. Basically, he had it was the Philharmonic, or one of the people he had around for tea, and it was a flutist that was playing really badly.
That's it, yes.
And I found out today that when you look at the Silence of the Lambs, when they go into Buffalo Bill's lair, whatever you want to call it, there's a big jar with his head in, and it is labelled Benjamin Raspel, and that was the flutist. So they're saying now that Buffalo Bill had him as his first victim, not Lecter, and he didn't feed him to his friends. According to the law. This is what I saw.
have gone so fucking cold. And all you said was head in a jar.
Yeah.
I need to get past this. Like, I can watch like the scariest of like spooky shit and gory shit, and this just, it's making me hands go funny. It really does. I think it's because it goes back to that initial, like, this is the first movie that, like, to my core scared me, like, to my core. And it wasn't anything to do visually with the movie. It's the idea and the concept behind it, that there's really people out there that do this.
But then he's not like, for me, he's not a savage, and he wouldn't have that. It's very well thought out, very well planned, very meticulous.
In a sense, beautiful.
Yeah, he just doesn't want anything less than what he feels he deserves.
Perfection.
Or he should have, yeah.
Pure perfection in his kills, I know I'm jumping ahead here, but you only ever see him kill in Silence of the Lambs once. The jail scene.
Yes.
Which is that's what tilted us out of the edge. That was a bit that still to this day makes us like, I can't eat when I'm watching that bit. But you see him do that, and you remember the swings, and he's doing it in time with the music, and it's all an act, and it's all performance based, and it's he's very meticulous with how he does his kills, and the setup with the big grand gesture of the guy on the side of the jail with a flag, which still to this day haunts my images.
But that's where they've like harking back to last week's episode with Gary Oldman, when he played oh god, what was his name?
Which film?
In Leon, when he played the policeman in Leon, I've gone blank. When he played him, he used to listen to Buck before when he was ready to kill, and he took that, Gary, from Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, because Lecter listened to a lot of Bark, depending on how you say it. But basically Gary borrowed that from Anthony.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, and
that
to
is
get
so
him
cool
in the frame of mind to do the things he was going to do. So
yeah. Well, going back to Red Dragon, with the opening scene, you get to see the relationship between Will and Hannibal Lecter, and how, like we've been talking about, how he coaches him, doesn't tell him, just coaches him, and he accidentally stumbles across a cookbook that just completely incriminates Lecter instantly. You'd think to yourself, I should move that book.
Unless he left it there on purpose. Unless
he completely, knew his time was up, and maybe it was time to hand himself in. I don't see him thinking that along those lines. But no, but even Will said he wouldn't make a mistake.
I don't know if he thought he would look at it. I think that was the factor. He might have thought there's a chance he will, a chance he won't, but I don't think he will. But then Will did. So I think that might have been a risk he took.
Well, then you have a great fight scene that ends with both of them on the floor. Will is shot, and we get this, like I said, this beautiful montage of newspaper articles, because this movie has... so sad, but it has Philip Seymour Hoffman playing him. One of my favorite characters he's played is Freddie Lowndes. It's great.
Did you know Jack Black was supposed to be cast originally?
I didn't, but my God, I could see him still play. I could genuinely see him play it.
I'm glad Philip Seymour Hoffman got it.
Yeah.
Not that it's a big part, but I don't know. There's nothing like seeing a man on fire on a wheelchair going, "Can't you see he's the man?" And he's on fire as he's running down the road. You know what I mean? It's like, Jack, tone
he's
it down,
a shiny
mate.
golden god.
It's like, tone it down,
I
Jack.
am going to have that song in my head now. Fucking hell, man. I was sick of it when it was doing the rounds.
Sorry. Brain fart.
I was sick when it was being played on TikTok all the time, and I was like, well, that's all I could sing. God damn it. But I could see, you can see why Jack Black would have been picked for that because of the way that Philip Seymour Hoffman plays Freddie Lowndes. Who was played by a woman in the TV series. That infuriated us, and I don't know why. And I just think because it's because that's not who I picked. Like Freddie he was so fucking smarmy, and he was very good at what he did. Because the Tattler is a shit rag.
Yeah, it's a manipulation thing, isn't it, journalism? They have to manipulate. They have to find a way to get the worst out of people to get the stories.
Yeah,
and Philip Seymour Hoffman just gave off that. Looks like he drinks whiskey, smokes 1,000 fags, has fast food in his car. Yeah, smells of BO.
Like he stinks.
It's that anorak as well that everyone was issued with in the 70s that he still seems to have in the 80s, 90s, whenever this is just filmed.
I think it's 90s.
I
think it's like late 80s, early 90s, I believe.
Yeah. I know it came out in 2002. But I couldn't work out where it was supposed to be in the timeline age-wise because
it's hard because then you've got to figure out where Silence of the Lambs falls.
In the middle. So I'm guessing that's late 80s.
But at the end, no, because Red Dragon instantly follows, or Silence of the Lambs instantly follows Red Dragon because at the end.
Yes, correct.
So it's like, it's going to be mid-90s. And you can't really tell from the clothing and everything because the scenes are like the actual locations and scenes of people are very like Francis Dolarhyde. I couldn't place him in time.
Yeah, the costume designer decided she wanted to give him this specific look. So what she did was she ordered his clothing from like a catalogue. You know, like the old-fashioned catalogues, because obviously when it's based, there's no internet that I could gather, or internet was just up and coming, but she had a club book and she ordered his clothes from the club book, and she said he looks like the kind of guy that just wouldn't go clothes shopping because it means that he would have to interact with humans, and he doesn't like interacting with humans at the best of times. He sort of mills around in the darkness. So that's why she liked his clothes to look a certain way. They gave off no era, no sense of style, no specific
that makes sense.
Like you didn't know whether he was an army guy, a wilderness guy, a chinos and t-shirt man, you know.
It was
creepy
fucking photographer who had a big impressive massive dragon tattoo on his back. You don't get that at all.
No. I mean 8 hours that took to put that stencil on.
We were just talking about this, me and Anth, about makeup because with them watching Deep Space Nine, we were talking, I was filling him in about the Westmores. And I was saying, you know, we talk on and hear a lot about makeup and the time and everything of how long it takes. We wince at it's 8 hours, and then we forget that they've got to go and do fucking work after that. And you could be looking at it like a 12-hour shooting scene, and he's then just had to sit in. And I know it's like, oh, he's just sitting there, but that is fucking, like, you've sat at work for 8 hours. It's fucking hard.
I would like to know how that took 8 hours though. How? You could get a tattoo, relatively large tattoo, in 8 hours.
You're right, though. No, you are right. Look at you.
It's big. Well, yeah. But it's big, but like, I thought was a really excessive amount of time, unless the guys that were laying the tattoo weren't proficient in it, or it kept crinkling, or because I don't know. I know there's different ways of putting tattoos on for special effects movies. Some use henna, so they've always got the outline there. Others just use transfers. Some use their own tattoos from, you know, on their own body, but like I just kept thinking 8 hours.
It would have actually been more time consuming if he actually did get that fucking tattoo done. And then just be like, right here, I've got to just staying on now forever and ever.
Can you imagine Voldemort with that?
You fucking red tail you can see.
Yeah, under his robe.
Oh, what's that? That'd have been class, actually. So the reason, I mean, I bring Freddie Lowndes up previously is because with the newspapers and everything, he was the journalist who snuck into the hospital room and took photographs of him while he was in hospital, in a coma, put his family at great risk, and obviously caused a lot of shit. Where Will actually is no longer, when you get to meet him properly outside of what's just happened, he's not a detective anymore. He's retired and living in Malibu, Florida.
Right, Malibu, I think you could be right. It's California, or is he in Miami?
He's where the water is.
Either, both. He's in both. Yeah, we'll go with both.
Yes, and he's out of the game. But then Jack Crawford, who is played by, in this one, Harvey Keitel,
which I didn't think was a bad cast. I have to say, I thought it was
generally don't. But you can't follow that Jack Crawford on to England's. Is it England? Scott Glenn?
Scott Glenn, yeah.
Scott Glenn. You can't continue that on from that because it's like, wow, Harvey Keitel, short, dumpy. Scott Glenn, tall, slim. It's like, that's a big contrast. But I wasn't mad at the casting.
No.
Because I do like Harvey Keitel. So you could have put him in fucking anything and I would have been happy with it.
The continuity was a bit off there, wasn't it? Yeah.
But it was how many years after the Silence of the Lambs? It's not like it came out before it and then it was, do you know what I mean? So you can forgive it a little bit, but I certainly did enjoy him as Jack Crawford. I was very happy with it, actually. But then the reason I point up there for is because I have him looking down on me every day when I sit here. I have a beautiful picture of the cast of Silence of the Lambs signed that my father bought me many years ago. Because I'm not weird enough that film scares me, yet that's on my wall. I like to face my fears.
That's fair.
Yeah. So the reason Jack Crawford is visiting Will is because he has a new case. And it is two families who have been murdered in two completely separate towns, but in exactly the same manner. It's your typical American family, two kids, two husband, wife, children, an animal, beautiful homes, great lives, and they've just had them completely wiped away from them in the most horrific manner possibly going. And this brings me to my favorite fucking scenes of this movie is Will's investigation, because Will reluctantly investigates and said he admits himself right there and then, because he's like, well, you caught Lecter and you caught the other guy, and he's like, no, I yes, I did, but I had help. Mm-hmm. I can't do this alone. And this is where he has to get back in contact with Hannibal Lecter to try and help him with this case. And I love the scenes with the investigation scenes when he goes to the houses and you watch him on the dictaphone just map out everything. I love them.
I think the glass for eyes thing was really weird.
Like they were looking back at him.
Yeah, so what he'd do, and it would only be with the mother of the house, he'd cut her eyeballs out and replace it with broken glass, so he could reflect and watch himself.
But she can also look alive too, because as I probably have pointed out on this podcast before, what happens to your eyes when you die? Go up. Mm-hmm. They roll up, and they stay. The eyeball does, your eyes do stay open. Contrary to what they tell you in the movies, you can't just close them like that. Fucking idiots. But your eyes do roll back. So he took them out to replace them with the mirror to be able to see himself and appear alive.
Yeah.
He did that.
So when he's walking around and watching Will go, and this, and this, and this, and then you just see every time when the light bulb goes off, you just see his face. Like Ed Norton, just, it comes alive, and it's, yeah.
It's some brilliant scenes.
He's got the basics there. He just needs to put them in order. And that's why he needs Hannibal, because he is perfection, like you say. And he needs that kind of guiding hand, that linear train of thought. And I love the bit just after this when he meets him for the first time since. And he's like, he's like, well, I'm not giving you the answer. I'm not giving you the answer. And he was point blank refusing. He's like, do it for yourself, And I thought, I know what he's doing. He's not doing it out of spite. He just loves watching him work.
Mm-hmm.
He's living vicariously through Will in the respect of that he can't do it because he's incarcerated. So he's watching Will figure it out. He's watching Will tick. And by doing that, he's learning more about Will than Will realizes at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like a sponge. It's like watching like when you watch Hannibal, he is taking every single second in with any interaction he has with any person at any point over the 3 movies.
Yeah.
And I love that because it's like they've said that he's got an eidetic memory.
Mm.
So, I mean, that's a hell of a thing to have.
It must be a massive burden, but it is, you are absolutely right. If you're looking at Hannah, if you're looking in that scene and thinking he is just torturing him, he's not. He's learning from him. He's learning about him. He's actually trying to guide him. You've got to understand, you've got to take that first interaction with them two very seriously to know how their relationship works. Because he's not doing things to hurt Will. He's doing it to make him better. It's always about making him better, because it's almost a sick way that he wants him to succeed in what he's doing.
Yeah, he does. It's like it's
like a father and son.
It is. It's the Padawan thing, isn't it? He's like he wants to make sure he can bring this child up and give it all the tools
love
it needs to survive. But he has so much to give Hannibal. That's the thing. I mean, like I say, take the weird murder, eating people thing out of the equation, and he's a highly intelligent human being. So he has no one to pass his wisdom on to. So this is why when he finds somebody that he thinks is worthy, he hooks on, like with Will, with Clarice, they're like he I think to a degree he thought he was getting that with Mason, but he realized that wasn't going to happen because Mason was different.
He was sick as
a very
fuck.
Sick
That's
man.
what he was. And he is the disease that he would like taken out of the world. But with Will and Clarice, you're absolutely right. It is that Padawan, it's that father-daughter relationship, the one he would never have, and it is people who are worthy of his knowledge. You are getting into his brain because he will allow you at some point to get into there. You forget how he's not this crazed, I'm going to eat everyone, num num num. He is very fucking intelligent, and that's the terrifying part about him. But how scary he is.
I love the fact that Francis was based on the BTK.
I hate the fact that he's fucking based on BTK because I hate that man.
I hate that man. Don't get me wrong. I'm not giving the serial killer any credit, but like,
oh no, like
you can see I like it when they take something real life, use it as reference, but don't copy it.
Well, that's the same in Silence of the Lambs. They're very good at doing that as well with the Ed Gein. In the Ed Gein reference, I want to make something very clear. I don't like serial killers for the reason of why we talk about them, what they do. I fucking hate Dennis Rader on a whole different level than what I hate other serial killers. I can be interested. I am not fucking one bit interested in that absolute bell end of a man. Yes, what he did was fucking atrocious and he should fucking burn. What he did afterwards, the fucking arsehole, I hate him. I do. I hate the fact that he's given the time of day. When you have to coin your own fucking serial killer name, go and fuck yourself, Dennis Rader. I hate him.
The thing about Dennis Rader is that what he did and the keys to the palace that he had by being a security man, somebody who was safe, someone who you trust, and someone who you would think would be the last person that would do it.
Yeah.
Same with the videographer whole idea. I mean, I know in the book it was security.
Yeah, you're right.
But they changed it for the movie, didn't they? Making him into a videographer.
It makes more sense in the movie, to be honest, because that is an idea. The security, it doesn't give you the same kind of interactions as what the family movies did. If you remember watching those family movies and you felt part of that kind of, even even Will starts to smile and get into what he's watching until he fucking realizes what comes next. But he's in that moment. I don't think you get that with a security. So I like the fact that they made that change.
Yeah, because what that also did was, because Francis had such a shitty upbringing, he was living the family life through the videos. Like, he was part of the family, he was there. But I did find out, the voiceover of the Nana.
I was just about to spit this fact. You didn't know that.
I didn't know it because I never paid attention, and she's uncredited.
She is.
I never really sort of thought about it. But then when the trailers for the new film have been coming out and her voice is on it, obviously she's in it, I heard it and I was like,
that is her. It took me a few watches to realize, and it was one line in particular, and it was something I don't know if it's a line where she says, "We'll cut it off," because we are actually talking about the actress in The Exorcist who plays Regan's mum is the voice of Frances Dollarhide's grandmother.
Ellen Bernstein.
I could not remember her name for a second, and I refuse to take my hands out of my hoodie at the moment because I am fucking freezing. So I wasn't going to check. Yes, and it took a couple of attempts when I was watching it, but there was this, I generally can't remember now of what it was, but I heard her and I went, whose fucking voice is that? Yes, I was just about to spit that fact out. But I liked your reaction to it better.
I mean, when you start looking into the people that are actually in that movie, that is quite a cast.
Yeah, Emily Watson, who is one of ours.
You've got Harvey Keitel, you've got Voldemort, you've got Fiennes. Is it Ralph?
We're gonna call it's right. Ralph. I think he pronounced it Rafe, but it's spelled Ralph. It's Raplh. That is fucking Ralph. One of my best friend's little boy is called Raphael. It's Ralph. That is Ralph. You can get away with Ralph on that, but he is Ralph. Oh, I hate it. He's Ralph.
The Voldemort. Anthony Hopkins, Ed Norton. You've got Ellen Bernstein, obviously the voiceover. Then when you start looking into it, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, I can see how they attracted that being the last movie of the three, even though it ended up being the first movie of the three.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you get to that point, anyone would jump on the bandwagon. I mean, they when they were auditioning for Will Graham, Ethan Hawke was considered.
Don't mind that.
I don't mind
see
it.
That.
90s Ethan Hawke. Well, it would have been early 2000s when the film came out. So, yeah, that would have been acceptable because back then that's... Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have hated that choice.
I wouldn't. Ethan Hawke is in a bloody good horror, Taken Lives. It's more psychological than it is horror, like more sexual thriller. Fucking fantastic. What a movie. I felt physically ill during that at certain points, especially the lift scene.
I love getting reactions from films because it just doesn't happen to me anymore. I watch movies and I'm dead inside. I mean, you'll get the odd one like Guardians 3 that I've watched once at the cinema, will never watch again because I can't put myself through that trauma. That is one of the saddest, god-awful films, but amazing at the same time. Can't do it. I don't even see myself revisiting that on a whim. It is that traumatic.
I said that and said, "Oh, Anthony, you've not seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's my 40th birthday. I get to choose. You have to watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3." I put myself through that again. I'm not joking. I was worse the second time around because I was at home in my safety, in my bubble. I fucking bawled. I was no good for like a good hour and a bit after that film.
That is literally the only film I've had a reaction to in probably 10 years. Like, the odd thing happens in a movie and you go, oh, but it doesn't make you physically feel anything except, oh.
Well, this is why I like watching films with my husband for, because it's not a feeling, it's just a conversations that we have around it. We get like proper into it, and we talk about these people like they're fucking actually really sitting in front of us doing the stuff they're doing. But I wouldn't do that on my own. So that's why I love watching films with my husband, because we get proper into it. But taking lives is fucking horrific.
I tell you what, I don't know if it would have gone down the same way had they have got their original first pick for Francis, though.
Who was it?
Their second pick was Sean Penn. No.
No.
Their first pick
no.
was the forward-rolling, Tim Burton Superman loving Nicolas Cage.
Oh, fuck me, that would have been a whole totally different film. Oh my god, it would turn into a fucking comedy.
That film would have gone down the shitter rapidly. It really would have done.
It wouldn't have even. I'm telling you now, it wouldn't have even gotten past test audiences if Nick Cage.
Love me Cage.
I love
Cage, but he is a parody of himself. You can't cast him in anything that you want a straight narrative to.
Yeah,
you just can't.
He is making so many brilliant fucking choices right now, because he is being his complete goddamn self. We all know and laughed at and have been part of the joke when Nick Cage has chewed up the fucking scenery in some of the most serious films ever given to him. But now he's kind of went, oh, I get it. I get it. I can do me and still make money, and still like that fucking Dracula film, man.
Renfield was brilliant.
Renfield was fucking superb.
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, with Pedro Pascal, where I've
heard about this.
It is really funny. Pedro's like his number one fan. It's like Misery, but with no sledgehammer. You've got Willy's Wonderland, which is Five Nights at Freddy's, and he hardly even speaks.
He doesn't say a goddamn word throughout the whole thing. I think you get one line out of him, but that's okay, because he is fucking brilliant. Honestly, I am so happy this is the version of Nick Cage that we're getting right now, and he finally got in on the joke. But as Francis Dolarhyde, no, it's like, oh no, sweetheart, you sit back down. Who was the other one? Sean Penn. Oh, fuck him. No, he can get in the fucking bin. He's too small for starters. Take out the fact that I don't fucking like him, but he's too small. He's not built. Francis is a fucking machine. But if you put Sean Penn next to Ed Norton, they look similar. But not, no. If you know what I mean. There's like a look to them that doesn't. Yeah, you can't quite separate. Yeah, you could cast them in the same thing, but you can't cast him as Francis. No, Francis is built. He is like Ralph Fiennes is perfect for him. The crew cut, the lip, the hair lip, the build of him, because he does work. He is. If you listen to what his grandmother says, you get a very clear picture of the upbringing that he had. And he had to be perfect. So why would his body not be perfect? And fuck me when he takes his clothes off and you see that his back, how ripped his back is. How amazing that arse is. And if you pause ever so slightly, you do get to see his winky in this movie. I did not. Happens. So... It happens. I'll take your word for it. I promise you, it is right there for a second, but it's there. And it's perfect. He is perfect in this film. He is the greatest choice they could have made. He plays sweet very well when he's with the blind woman. I can't think of her character name. I'm fucking surprised I remembered Francis Dolarhyde's name, to be honest with you, the way my head is at the minute. But yeah, but he's very sweet with her. He's as he kept saying to him, I love her, I like her, please don't make me do it, you know. Don't take her away from me. Yeah, because she's sweet and she's kind. And that's, I love the way he says kind with his hair lip. I love how he talks, and his teeth as well, because he doesn't have real teeth. They're not his teeth. He puts in, I think there's 3 different pairs of teeth. I think one's his nana's teeth. Yeah. You know, the haggard old horrible chip jobbies.
One is a really bucktooth looking set, and then there's another set that seemed very normal.
Yeah.
But the bucktooth ones you only see every now and again, and I'm not sure if they're supposed to be
Bitey
his
teeth.
normal set, but they're like
the bite his teeth. They bite. Because he
there
bites
is
people.
biting teeth.
There is his biting teeth. Yes. His straight teeth are his normal life.
Mm-hmm.
His other ones are his bitey teeth. Because if you notice in the pictures they're all crooked.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking, that's why they can't, when they're looking at his mouth, it's very hard because you can take his teeth, which is so fucking clever again. You can take his teeth in and out. And his grandmother's is just fucked up nostalgia, like fucked up feelings towards his grandmother, because I'm sure there's a hint of incest in there as well. Heavily fucking abused. But it shows.
I did find out that in the Italian version, when they released it, the guy that did the voiceover for Harvey Keitel was the same guy who played Commissioner Rishi in Hannibal. You know, that got bows in or bows out. That got chucked over the thing. He actually did the Italian voiceover of Harvey Keitel for Red Dragon.
That's so cool.
So he still got to play the part. Kind of. He was in it twice, just not quite in it. But I thought that was quite a cool.
It is. That is so cool. Francis does. There is a big, massive showdown. Like the whole thing is such a detective. It is a detective story with Hannibal. He isn't in it a lot. In the grand scheme of the movie, this is not his movie. The book is not his book either. It is very much a heavily, Will Graham book, and that's fine. It's totally fine. I like the fact that Hannibal is just a sitting guide dog for him, because that is what he is in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
That's no different. His screen time in Silence of the Lambs is probably less than what it is in Hannibal.
16 minutes in Silence of the Lambs. That's all he had.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at the box office, though, and the budget for this, it did really bloody well, but it had a hell of a bloody budget. I mean, it was the second most expensive movie of the three at 78 million on its budget alone. But box office, it took 209 million worldwide.
That's probably just like half of me going to see it repeatedly.
But that's a hell of a... I mean, that was obviously the last in the three.
To be
released.
To be honest, this is where we thought the end game was. Generally, you wouldn't have thought a TV series would ever have come out about the character. So yes, everyone thought this was the Chara, and probably should have been the Chara, even though nothing against the TV show at all. I know it has a huge fan base, and by all accounts, it is some brilliant fucking TV. And Mads Mikkelsen can do no wrong in my eyes, to be honest. The only thing I didn't like was the height, but that's just me being fucking really particular with it, because I always imagine him, and it's probably Anthony Hopkins' fault. Well,
because we've been conditioned, haven't we? So,
I blame Anthony Hopkins that I think of him as a short man. I've got a funny story before we go on with the rest. When I went to go and see Red Dragon, I was so fucking excited. I'm not joking, like really fucking excited for this. And sitting there, and I'm like really into it. Like, just don't leave us alone, in the zone. And it's the scene where he's just about to go to the first house, and he's just about to open the door. Fucking screen goes off and the lights go off, and I'm sitting in the fucking dark, and I scream the place down. Everyone who I was with was like, calm the fuck down. Like, by the time I finished screaming, the lights had started to go on.
Brilliant.
The fucking the projector knocked a button, because I saw it before it was released. I saw it the Thursday night, because my ex worked at a cinema, and I saw it the Thursday night, and then it came out on the Friday, and the projectionist just went like that. And normally they wouldn't be in the room; they would just let the film go. Yeah. And he turned around and knocked it, and as soon as I finished screaming, he went, "I'm really sorry. I'll get it back on."
Hearing this northeastern accent coming out of a little, "I'm really sorry."
Technical fault, human error. He's
old.
And then we had to go back a few minutes and then go back to the film. But fuck me, that was the most exact. I think it was not more the fact that I was scared, more the fact you've turned the fucking film off, like, no, but I screamed.
I mean, I think the climax to this film is shit.
I'm gonna have to tend to
like
agree
the
with
setup.
you. Yeah,
I like the setup of the.
So fast.
He had the Patsy body. I knew straight away, watching the angle of the blood splatter on the blind lady's face, I knew he didn't kill himself.
Nah.
He wasn't there. He was somewhere else.
He's not a pussy to take himself out that way. He's going out with the blaze of fucking glory.
Yeah, too right. And so when he was in Will Graham's house, and it ended up being Will's wife that killed him, I was like, eh.
It's so fast, though. Like, that whole ending is so quick.
Why do they rush stuff like that? I don't understand. You're getting the whole point in the whole movie is to get to the climax of when these two are meeting and they're having this showdown. And like, you blink and it's done. I was
they've just had a battle of wits that included Hannibal Lecter, because he did get himself involved to the point where he was actually in contact with him. And so it was a battle of wits. It wasn't a physical altercation until you got to that bit, and it should have been drawn out a bit more to give us a bit more satisfaction that Will could actually do this. Like, Will could do this.
His wife did.
Exactly. So, it's always somebody else doing the work for him. See, this is why I don't like the version in Hannibal. Because but that is Will, like, and I accept that that's Will, but I don't. That whole scene was so quick when you could have downsized it. If you were doing it for time, you could have taken so much out of something else to put into that time there and draw it out and give us a fucking battle of the century. Like, give us something. He had his fucking kid, for God's sake, which in actual fact is not his kid, it's his step kid, but the hey ho. But yeah, he had his kid. Enough should have been the motion to put this whole thing into a fucking brawl instead of duck.
It was just the bit where I thought it was so clever when he was berating the kid, because he'd obviously at that point read Francis' diary, so he knew the right buttons to push, he knew the right things to say, and then even in that heated moment, he knew that's what he had to do. Whereas I'd be just going, give me back my kid, give me back my kid, give me back. You wouldn't, my brain wouldn't go, oh, I must psychologically fuck with this man who's got a gun to a kid's head.
See,
you're playing a dangerous game.
Absolutely. It is, like I say, the whole thing is like a battle of wit. And at the end, he physically got him with what he did with his kid right there. Like, not, in punches and in gunshots or anything like that. He broke him in that second where he was shouting at his kid, because you could see the pain in his face. That was probably more painful than getting shot in the face.
But I like the way this then ends, and it links seamlessly into the beginning of Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
There's a woman here for you, or something. He says, that creepy guy that I dislike the face of, that actually looks like Tobias Forge in his makeup for Ghost in his recent tour. He's like the prison
psychologist.
warden. Yeah, the guy.
The psychologist. It's the guy who he eats at the end of Silence of the Lambs.
I'm going for a friend to have an old friend for dinner.
Yeah, that's him. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
No, I've gone blank.
But they do heavily make up him up to produce, because he's meant to be the age that he is in Silence of the Lambs, which was shot well before this one.
Yeah, it's 10, 11 years before, I think, something like that.
So they use some very delicate makeup on him, but yeah, it links up seamlessly with, I think she's from the FBI.
Yes. And
he says, send her in.
Yeah, what does she look like or something? Or he says, what is she like or something to him first, doesn't he? And then he says to him, she's from the FBI, or
she's a really fucking awkward redhead who's gonna come and ask you a series of questions, and she doesn't get him straight away at all, does she? She has not done her homework, and I know Clarice gets thrown into this very quickly, but I feel like she could have had a bit more time to know who she was up against. And I think that because Clarice, again, is not stupid, there's a reason why he gravitates towards her. And she should have done a little bit more to know, but I guess that's the beauty of watching it play out as she gets to know him.
Yeah. I mean, this is where, even though you only get 16 minutes of Anthony Hopkins' time, when this is the first movie, so this is where he establishes the Hannibal Lecter that we all know. And when he was trying to think of things mannerisms to bring to him,
mm-hmm.
he had a friend who rarely blinked. And
I'm going to blink 100 times now just thinking of that.
He was saying, you know, I was watching him and there was something really, it made me feel nervous because he doesn't blink. He said it made me feel really nervous because he just didn't blink and he was constantly staring. Yeah. And there's no break in that eye contact. And he said, I took that and I used it. And he also said the infamous thing, right? He said when he was a kid, he used to tell a story about Dracula because he loved Bela Lugosi. Mm-hmm. So he used to use that noise when he was telling the story about how he'd like to suck their blood, you know, like, and
blah, blah, blah.
and then he'd do that afterwards. And it used to make all the girls at school run away screaming. And he thought, right, if I can use that with the not staring and create this like uncomfortableness just to see how far I can push it. And it worked. It really worked.
It really does. That opening scene alone is the accent is so weird here because it does change quite a bit. But at the time of watching, I had no idea he was of Eastern European descent. No. So it makes total sense once you do know why his accent in that first interaction changes quite a bit, because he has established his accent, but at the time you've got to think how long has he's been in a prison environment. He doesn't have to keep up the gentleman charade, like that gentleman. He's not with the hoity-toity anymore.
Yeah,
because when he's at the dinner table at Red Dragon, he is very posh.
Yes, he is the man. He is the host, the airs and graces.
Yeah. It's kind of relaxed a bit, but not to a degree. There's a line in Scream, and I want to get this out of the way with because it keeps playing on my mind, is the line that Skeet Ulrich says, and I just want to go into that screen and rip his fucking teeth out for saying it. When he turns around and says, we didn't, something to do with Norman Bates, we didn't know, nobody knew why Hannibal Lecter did what he did. Now, did they? And I went, yeah, they fucking did. You fucking idiot. Like, that line really fucks me off. Because we do know why he does it for.
Yeah, because you're rude.
Because you're rude, and you would have been one of them, you fucking little shit. Yeah, that line really hacks me off because it's you can even get a sense of it in this one, that there's something more, even though it's not really explained a lot. Yeah. There's something more to him than just, I just did it for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I mean that is something that they establish pretty quickly. If you see that movie first, which most people would have done because obviously it came out 11 years before the original, that what should be the first film. So he still has to give off this air of knowledge.
Oh yeah, like I am very smart
and power without being boastful about it, because that's crass. He doesn't like to boast. It's definitely not something that he does. He likes the chase. He likes watching them unfold and unpack things, like when he's looking at them. But yeah, with Clarice, he teases her to start off with about her accent and stuff, and he's seeing how far he can push her. But I actually did, going off topic a little bit, I found out that Gene Hackman bought the rights to Silence of the Lambs originally because he wanted to play Hopkins, he wanted to play Hannibal, and he also wanted to write the screenplay himself. He went in halves with Orion, the movie people, and he hired not a ghostwriter, but someone to help him along. And the guy turned around and contacted his mate, and he went, get ready. I think you're going to have the job. He's got no idea what he's in for here. And he did 40 pages of research, of like screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned around and he said, yeah, this isn't for me. And he sold his rights on back to the film company.
I love Gene Hackman. I can't, even taking out the fact that of the visual representation of Hannibal Lecter, even literature, I could not see him playing.
No.
But it's only because he's like the hero figure to me. Like Mississippi Burning is one of my favorite films, even though it shouldn't be ever. But it is. I think it is a cinematic masterpiece, a film that everyone should watch. You should never forget, but also get that. You get a sense of revenge. It's like a revenge movie in a way. But he's like a hero figure to me. I like love it. But I couldn't see him being that nasty and, evil, because let's face it, we can sit here and say our airs and graces about Dr. Hannibal Lecter, MD, but he is a fucking evil man at the same time.
100%. I mean, you look at his fact that there's a look that Hopkins manages to pull off where he looks like he wants to eat you, hug you, congratulate you, punch you all at the same time. And it's how wide his eyes get and how glassy his eyes get and how like intense.
How he stands up straight.
Yeah. And I can't see Gene doing that.
No, me neither. And he's very tall as well. It's the height thing again. The scene you mentioned about the whole taking the piss out the accent, that is genuine. She didn't realize that is what that he was going to do that. The scene is incredibly ad-libbed. And that was part of the ad-lib. And when he was taking the piss out, and when she's looking around as to say, are we not going to cut? This is fucking atrocious. Like, and when she watched it back, she went, holy shit, thank you so much. Thank you for doing that and getting that reaction out of me. That is fucking amazing. Because she looks around as to say, why aren't we shouting cut? Because that's going too far. She
said I saw a little interview with Jodie Foster I think it was on the Graham Norton show. It was only like a couple of minutes excerpt I saw. But Graham Norton was asking Jodie about how, when she was on Silence of the Lambs, was it true that she never talked to Anthony whilst they were on, like, together? She said it took her until the last day of filming to have a conversation with him because she was so petrified of him. She said just every time he looked at me, she said, even when the majority of the scenes, because every scene is shot from Clarice's point of view.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at the way the director of photography did it, it's always that you are supposed to be Clarice. Yeah. And you're supposed to be.
When you're walking through to his cell, you are her eyes. It's actually standard throughout the whole movie, because even at the very end of the Buffalo Bill scene, you are once again her eyes. You're the only ones who can see what's going on. It's so fucking clever. And as they make that turn into the cell, I love that. That is so beautiful. It's iconic.
But she was saying that all the shots that Anthony did, they were obviously to the camera, which was supposed to be her. So she wasn't getting the sheer intensity. So what she used to do was stand behind the cameraman.
Yeah.
So she could see what the camera was picking up. And she said, honestly, he just used to do these things where he'd throw in a line or he'd make a noise or a sharp move. And it wasn't in the script. It wasn't something that was specifically supposed to be there. So she would flinch naturally, or she would be like you say, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Why? Yeah. But she would do it. She would do it to where it was like quite a look. Like you can see it like looking around, and you think she's just looking at her environment. No, she's asking people to fucking stop because this is going too far, in her opinion. But when she watched it back, she thanked him for getting that. She said that's acting. And she did. It's not like she didn't get it. Jodie Foster was in the business well before she got to this point, but it almost was like an acting class for her.
I mean, I can't imagine she was getting that kind of acting class from Fat Sam's Grand Slam, Speakeasy. I love Boxing Malone.
I've not seen that film in such a long time. I was just about to say I hate that film, and it's not that one I'm thinking of.
Get Babyface. Where's Babyface? Tell Babyface. Dexter Fletcher being this big.
Dexter Fletcher, yes. Oh my God, that's a name.
Yeah, the McDonald's voiceover guy. To the kids these days, to the kids these days.
Really?
Dexter Fletcher voices all of the McDonald's videos.
Oh my God, I bet he's fucking minted.
He also is a director now, and he has directed some bangers that people don't know he's even directed.
I feel like I know this.
He did one called Buffalo Bill, and he also did he took over halfway through. It wasn't a Guy Ritchie movie, but it was something along one of those lines. You know,
Mm-hmm.
He took over directing it halfway through because something happened with the original director. But it was a massive movie. I've just gone blank on what it is, but yeah, I'll put it in the chat if I remember on Monday, on tonight now.
Tonight, right
somewhere.
now.
Yeah.
Remember, time travel. Time travel. I do feel like I knew something like that about him, but I didn't know he was a McDonald's guy. Fuck me, he must be minted. You know how much you make off adverts? Enough to live off anyway.
Yeah.
There's bringing up the amazing guys of the Grim Knife Collective again.
Mm-hmm.
They did a video, I don't know, I want to say last year, maybe the year before, of a house in where is Signs of the Lambs located? Where is Buffalo Bill's house?
I have actually this written down. In
my brain's just gone to mush.
All I know was that the house was actually. Sorry, I'm reading. Ted Levine, who played Buffalo Bill.
Yes. What a guy. What a guy.
It was his next door neighbour's house when he was growing up as a kid.
Right.
The house that they filmed the whole of this Buffalo Bill's house was his next door neighbour's house. He was born and raised in the house next door.
But it was somewhere. Go and visit that house.
Yeah, it was somewhere in, I want to say Michigan, but I think it was supposed to be New York or I like one of the suburbs or something like that. I've gone blank.
I'll pull the video out and add it to the description down below because it is very good. I don't know if it's the actual house that it's meant to be filmed in, but it is a replica house of Buffalo Bill, and it is a hotel that you can stay in. And they went with superfan Doug Bradley. No, what's Hellraiser? Who's Pinhead?
Yeah.
Doug Bradley. I fucking said it right for once. Oh my God. I always call him Doug Jones. I don't know why.
Do you have to put the lotion in the basket when you go in?
Yeah, you do actually.
And do you have to listen to? Is it Wild Horses or what?
Goodbye Horses?
That's it. Goodbye Horses. Yeah,
it's a song that gets played in my house every other day. My husband loves that song. It was, I think, no, it's Wild Horses, isn't it?
I think it's Goodbye Horses.
It's only actually played at the last 2 seconds of the song. It's not played throughout. But yeah, I think it was on my sister's wedding playlist, and Anth plays it all the time. He fucking loves it. But yeah, you can go and stay at this house. It is totally, 100% Sans the Lamsey, death bat, the death moth everywhere, and it's fucking creepy as shit. It looks like something out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. But the guy who runs it, a huge big fan, and they go with Doug Bradley because his wife is like Silence of the Lambs super fan.
Yeah,
and they do a little sit down interview with him. Nothing about Hellraiser. Everything about, and he is so inquisitive and just, it's such a good video. I will put it down in the description below. I will do anything to promote these guys because I absolutely love them. And this video, it was a Halloween special,
right?
But the house is so authentically like, I would not want to stay there, let's put it that way. There is a few scary moments in Silence of the Lambs that I would like to go through. The garage scene,
right,
where she finds the head in the jar, and no. Something about heads in jars apparently get me funny too. I don't like them. That freaked me out. The scene in the jail where you finally where you realize, do you know what? I actually nearly started crying when I realized his cuffs were off.
Right.
And then he launches in on that poor policeman and bites his face.
Is it his cheek or his nose? I can't remember.
It's his nose.
Yeah, I have to admit, I didn't watch Silence of the Lambs because I've seen it 1,000 times, but I haven't refreshed my memory so much about Silence of the Lambs because I know the majority of it.
It lives in there rent free. But yeah, he bites the guy, and it's that honestly, it gives us it makes us go cold inside. But how beautiful that setup is with that body is unreal. The lift scene. Oh my God, I am not claustrophobic at all. But my lift at work looks exactly like that lift.
Oh God, no, thank you.
And when I look up, I always look up to make sure we're no fuckers at the top of it. Even though I can only go 2 floors, it's not that high. But Jesus Christ, that lift scene terrifies me because I know, you know, we all know he is on the fucking gurney. He is not above the... Oh, I hate it. Yeah, I was expecting full on, you know, Steve Rogers in the elevator scene where he kicks the shit out of all the guys. I'm expecting Hannibal to come out like that.
I will show you. I went to a museum in LA, and it's the movie memorabilia museum, and they actually have... I don't know if you can see this very well. I'll send it, but like, I think my ring lights wasn't an issue, so I don't know if you can see. It's actually the cells.
Oh yes, I can now. You've said it. I can make it out now. You've said it. Oh, they've got it all replicated up. That's so cool.
You can go and sit and walk in there and sit on the stool and everything.
I'm all right.
And it's in the. I'll send it, and if we can put it up on the screen, we will. If not, I'm sure we can share it on the Facebook page or across the socials.
We'll create a post for it. But oh my God, no, I don't want to. I genuinely don't want to do that.
But it's the original set from the movie.
Oh, the original. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that's even better.
But yeah, it's for me. I saw this one bit where the woman who played Catherine, that was the chubbier girl in the well. Yeah. She was asked to put on £25 to play the role. They loved her, but they said you're not big enough. We need more skin.
We need you to be a size 14. I think it was 14 in American sizes. Yeah, I've been watching Grey's Anatomy recently, and this girl comes on the screen, or woman, I should say, with long blonde curly hair and a smile that is so distinct that I can't quite place who she is. And it's not. I am sitting, and it's about gone past midnight. Totally into Grey's Anatomy, and Ant's in the other room, and I just scream, "Oh my God, it's her from Silence of the Lambs." And it's Catherine from Silence of the Lambs. And it took me it was the smile. It's every time she kept smiling in her cheeks, because she's got my cheeks. She's got the Tweety Pie cheeks. And when she smiled, I was like, the fuck are you? Who are you? And then I figured it out, and I screamed it at the top of my lungs.
But she actually shared an acting class with Vincent D'Onofrio. You know, Thor, however you know Vincent, but he was asked to gain £75 to become Pyle in Full Metal Jacket, and he gave her the advice. He said, right, 2 things: get a credit card from the producers so they pay for your food, because if they want you to gain the weight, use their credit card to pay for it.
Yeah,
he said, and also make them pay for a gym subscription for when you finish filming, if you so choose to go back to your original weight. And I thought, do you know what? I wouldn't have even thought that. I wouldn't. My brain wouldn't have gone, make them pay for it. I'd be like, okay, I'll do it. I've got no money. Yeah. But I just thought that was
that is an actor who knows his fucking worth.
But she jokes all the time, because she said that the reason why they went over budget on the movie was because of her food bill.
Get in, girl. You fucking get some. If they want you to put the weight on, I fucking love that.
I mean, that's just under 2 stone. They expected her to pack on. So I mean, that takes some doing. That's not really an easy thing.
It's not the getting it on, it's the getting it off. That's the fucking problem. That's the
2 stone in a very short amount of time, I imagine, was very difficult.
Oh, you would have been ill, man. It would have been fucking horrible. The scene with Buffalo Bill, because Buffalo Bill based off Ed Gein just because of the bodysuit?
Yeah, 3 of them. They liked the charm of Ted Bundy, so they had the whole thing. Then they had a lesser known guy called Gary M. Heidnick.
Yeah, and I know who he is.
He was the basement guy. This is where they got that whole thing from for Buffalo Bill and Ed Gein as well. So yeah,
the face, the putting together the bodysuit, because essentially that's it's when he pushes her in the van and he touches her back. That sends a fucking chill down my spine. Don't you touch me.
Well, he's testing, isn't he? He's like,
it's the size. He's sizing her up, and I'm like.
Until recently, and I'm going to admit this, and I know that if anybody from the page is watching this, they'll probably rip me a new one. I never noticed that he was wearing a scalp in the scene where obviously he's doing his dance. I just thought he put a wig on, and then it wasn't until I actually paid attention. You
can see the line. So to drag queens, it's kind of like a lace front in a way. It's the lace front.
You just can't lay that lace front down.
You've just got to blend that in. Yeah, do you know what? It does take a lot to see it because you're very much concentrating on what's in front of you. You're sort of distracted by the whole dancing and moving, and then when he backs off and he's got it tucked, Jay and Silent Bob style, it's like. I think that scene is so beautiful.
There's something so well.
Something so beautiful about that scene.
But the
colours and everything.
He's such a tragic character before. Again, he's very much a Francis character because they made a mistake on his birth certificate. So his name is Jame, Jame, instead of James. His name was supposed to be James, but they fucked up his birth certificate and his parents didn't give a shit enough to get it changed. Really? So his name is Jame Gum. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's your first clue about how hated.
He just wasn't cared for. Who gives a fuck? I don't need to add the S on the end.
No. I don't know where the obsession with the soft skin comes from or the want to make the skin suit. I can only think it's because he wanted to.
I think he wanted to transition in a way. That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah, I think he wanted to try it on first. If you know what I mean. He didn't want it to be a permanent thing. He wanted to feel like what it would be like to be someone else. So transition probably isn't the right word. Probably more transform, because he is creating a bodysuit to cover up himself. So it's not a transitioning; it's a transformation. Hence why they've got all the death's head moths everywhere. Because
even though I own so much jewelry with that fucking moth on.
I've got some downstairs. They're on like a honeycomb thing. They were actually done by Lost and Profound, which are some taxidermy guys from
my neck of the woods,
Newcastle. Yeah,
I know them.
Craig always does Timoth Market. So
I do, and if it's who I think it is, because he has that stall and she has a witchy kind of stall.
I know that his wife does some little bits. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think I've met them. They're lovely people.
Yeah, Craig. he actually will be at For the Love of Horror. I'm giving Craig. I'll tell you, and you watch this, you owe me a bloody free bit of taxidermy.
Do they have a dog?
Maybe, yeah.
I really do. I apologize in advance if it's not the people I'm thinking of, but if it is, I met them at Tynemouth Market when I was there with Peaches, and if it is them. So lovely, very I felt like they'd known us for the way that they spoke to us. It was like, oh, we know you, hey, and I was walking to find Peaches, and they're just like, hey, just over here, just come and hang out with us, and they were just they were lovely, absolutely.
We've got a lot of their stuff downstairs, but I've got quite a few death head. That was the first piece of taxidermy Rob ever bought me, which was a giant death head moth.
Oh, that's love.
But it's downstairs.
I would find that amazing,
but because
that's my favorite movie in a jar.
But that's the thing, when you look at the movie poster and you see the death head moth, and people don't realize that isn't the skull that's traditionally on a death head moth. When you zoom in, it's based off the Salvador Dali photo. I want to say it was like a photograph he did where he had the 7 women laying in to make a skull. And that is what that is. on the
Oh, I
poster.
didn't know that.
If you zoom in and have a look at the skull on the death's head, it is the 7 women made to look like
that is so fucking cool.
So...
I always used to think, don't you have such a cute little face? Your face is so cute. But the rest, I actually have on order at the moment, which should be here tomorrow, a new set of Death Moth earrings. Fucking big ones this time, because I have little small ones and I have medium ones, and these ones are big fucking huge ones. I like a big earring. And nobody can ever see them when I'm on here because I have big headphones on.
This one was only made for 19 million, so it was the cheapest one out of the 3.
Not a great deal of scenery going on.
Not really. A lot of it was either
deal.
outside in Bill's house or in the
cell.
In the cells.
Yeah, so not a great. I mean, they do have that impressive scene where he's being dragged on with that fucking mask. The mask always makes me laugh. What do you think he's going to do?
Exactly what he did when he bit the man's nose off, probably. That's why they put him in the mask.
We don't know that yet.
No.
They did just want him in a normal jumpsuit, and Anthony Hopkins said, do you know what would make it more scary is just having us in plain white, because it's almost like an angelic colour. Like you wouldn't associate that with evil. Yeah. So having the jumpsuit on clearly indicates that there's something, he's done something bad because he's in prison. Having just him in white makes it even, and also you've got the blood splatter as well, like that beautifully goes across him. I'm not surprised with the budget on it, but the hangar scene itself, I could imagine, but again, that's just a sound studio. Do you know what I mean? Like there's not a great deal to go into that.
I mean, worldwide, it took 272 million grossed in the box office.
That's a lot of coin.
So when you look at it, it's technically the most successful of the 3. I think.
I'd imagine so. Yeah, it has to be. Hannibal certainly fucking isn't.
Oh, it is.
What?
Hannibal was made for a budget of 87 million, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
At box office, it took the most. It took 351 million at the box office.
Well, think about it. It's a returning film, isn't it? So, of course, people are going to, how clever. So, yes, initial, returning, final. Everyone's going to come fucking see it.
But yeah, not to take too much from Silence of the Lambs, because it's set up a lifetime of movie quotes, misquotes. He never says, hello, Clarice, in it at all. He says, good afternoon, Clarice. But he never says hello. And everybody thinks he does. It's like that Jaws.
Is that like a Mandela effect? Is that what that means?
Like that. Yeah.
I only learned what that was the other day. What was it? Someone pointed out, we are the champions.
Yeah.
And at the end of the ending part of We Are the Champions, we no time for losers because we are the champions of the world. It actually doesn't say of the world at the end of the song.
What does he say?
Doesn't say a thing. The song just ends. I'm telling you.
I've always sung Of the World as well.
Of the World. It's not. It doesn't actually. The person who found the clip said she went through a lot of videos and but it's never in the original recording, not played at the end. You're gonna find it, aren't you?
I shall. That is my mission after I get off of this.
That was the example that I got of what a Mandela effect was.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same as the Jaws quote, we're gonna need a bigger boat. Everybody always misquotes.
What is it?
It is you're gonna need a bigger boat.
You're gonna need a bigger boat because it's not his boat.
It's Brody talking to
Quinn.
So you're gonna need a bigger boat, but everybody says we're gonna need a bigger boat. But they're convinced we're gonna need a bigger boat is the line.
You should have asked me initially what that would have said, and I would have given you my truthful answer. But now I think I'm saying it. Yeah, I've always said that.
Well,
you need a bigger boat.
Jamie Kennedy in Scream 2 also brings this up with the whole Ripley thing. Get away from her, you bitch. That one, that's another one
It's
that people
stay
get
away
wrong.
from you. Stay away from her, you bitch.
Yeah, so
Thank you. Yes, he's talking to Timothy Oliphant.
Yes.
Yes. Mickey. And yes, he says, I think you have to find the line is stay away from her, you bitch. This is film class, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've got Casey, blah, 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 what's
Sarah
his name?
Michelle Gellar.
She's there, and oh my god, he played Pacey in Dawson's Creek. He was the legend.
Yeah.
He was in Fringe.
Jackson, something
Yes.
Jackson. Let's just call him Jackson. But let's just call him what he is in the Dawson.
Pacey.
I've
got fucking
Joshua Jackson.
That's it.
Holy shit, man.
I know that. I don't know why my brain's not held that in, but yeah, he's in that scene. But yeah, it's that whole Mandela effect thing that happens with a lot of the quotes in Silence of the Lambs. People are convinced he says this thing, convinced he says
doesn't.
that. Nope.
Mm-hmm. Have we got any more interesting facts about Hannibal Lecter before we wrap this up?
Only that when Jodie Foster turned down the part for Hannibal to return,
sad times.
He was Anthony was devastated,
mortified.
So I've got
to the point where he nearly pulled out.
I've got the list of the people they had actually offered the part to.
Go on.
Now, it's a long list, and it's actually quite confusing. Gillian Anderson, Jennifer Aniston, Christina Applegate, Drew Barrymore, Kate Beckinsale, Kate Blanchett, Sandra Bullock, Jennifer Connelly, Kristen Davis, Cameron Diaz, Shannon Doherty, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Callista Flockhart, Bridget Fonda, Terry Hatcher, Helen Hunt, Angelina Jolie, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Lucy Liu, Heather Locklear, Alyssa Milano, Gwyneth Paltrow, Sarah Jessica Parker, Meg Ryan, Winona Ryder, Brooke Shields, and Hilary Swank.
Right.
Could you not cross any more of a wider scope of notes?
You could actually, when you started the list, you could actually group a few women in together and go, if that is a choice direction, but not Clarice. That is someone completely different. But then you went further, and it just got the Louis Dreyfus. That there was. She's a comedian.
Christina Applegate's a comedian as well, so I don't see her play straight that often.
Cameron Diaz can do comedian. She can do serious, but comedian is, I would say, is probably her strongest suit.
At that point, Sandra Bullock was all rom-coms. So
yeah, that's a choice. I am not angry. I am not one of these who is angry over the Julianne Moore casting. If Jodie Foster's not going to do it, I'm not angry with that. I fucking love that opening scene of Hannibal where she with the mother and the child. I love that scene. I think that is Clarice to its fullest. She went there.
There is so much product placement for Gucci in Hannibal, for the brand of Gucci. Because it turned out that Julianne Moore was best friends with Tom Ford, and Tom Ford at the time was the head of Gucci. Yeah. So everything in that movie, the suits, was impeccably
That's why they were all dressed amazingly.
Even the Italian policeman who should be on a pittance wage was in Gucci suits because Tom Ford and Julianne Moore were best friends.
Well done, Tom
they plugged
Ford.
the crap out of it. So I thought that was something.
Yeah.
They still do tours in Italy around
the church. Is it the church?
All the parts where the Hannibal was filmed.
Libraries, and because they are beautiful buildings.
I wouldn't mind doing that. I've got to be honest.
I have no fancy for Italy. I've had the opportunity so many times to go, and just no, it does not tickle my fancy. It does not tickle my fancy.
I thought you were going to say something else. It doesn't tickle your what now?
I was heading for Funny Bone initially.
Too many Fs. I do know Thomas Harris was only paid. For me, I personally think it's a pittance for what this movie made. But obviously, they never know what a film's going to make when they buy the rights.
Yeah.
But for this specific movie, he was paid $9 million. And the movie made $351 million.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, that is kind of a bit of a drop.
when that guy is responsible for this.
You don't. You without his brain, you don't have these exceptional characters. Wow, that's a. Yeah,
I did watch a behind the scenes of the dinner table special effects work they did with Ray Liotta at the end of.
Oh, may he rest in peace. I forgot to say that on the last one.
The special, what they did was they made a full life cast of him, and they rebuilt him out of like silicone and stuff. And to do that scene where obviously
the head scalped him, didn't he?
There was this whole section where they had a false. They put a green bald cap on him, and then they put the skull back on top for the scenes where you see him and he's talking whilst Hannibal's taking his little chunky chunks. But then there are other scenes where it's just the lifeless dribble and he's sitting there like that. That's the dummy. But the thing is, when they were putting together the footage, Ridley Scott said he forgot which one was the dummy and which one was Ray, because they looked so exactly like each other.
Yeah.
And even they do a side-by-side comparison on the back behind the scenes, and you see Ray sitting next to the dummy of himself, and he keeps turning around going, do I really look like that? Do I really look like that?
Well, not now. That was low, Sam.
Well, Tom Sizemore was originally supposed to play Crendler, but he dropped out last minute.
Ray Liotta's brilliant. He's the guy. He touched a movie and it turned to gold. He was such a brilliant. Yeah,
he makes that movie for me.
Even like the classic Goodfellas. That is such a brilliant performance from that man. I was so sad that we lost him. Carolyn was devastated, absolutely devastated. That scene, a lot of people in my cinema walked out when that scene came up. I'm not even joking. They just got up and walked out, and I went, fucking pussies, man, come on. It's not fucking real.
You knew when he was walking into the posh home goods store, and he was saying, right, I want this and that and that. He was picking out the perfect dinner table. So you knew something fucky was going to happen.
Yeah. He's a fucking cannibal, for Christ's sakes.
I mean, it's about time we see him eat someone. Properly eat someone, and
not because the nose attack is a bit of a defense thing. He's not. It's not a case of ooh, nose, nom nom. That's not what he's going for.
It wasn't for the flavor profile.
It wasn't a snack.
No.
But yes, this is probably the first time that we see him do his whole because it's got to be I'd imagine a bit of a ritual, a bit of a routine kind of, he's a classy man.
Yeah.
Did you see how he cooked that?
The brain.
Season it all up.
I mean, in theory, you're supposed to see that at the beginning of Red Dragon, but they never confirmed that was supposed to be the flutist. And
I didn't know that because you see him fucking up.
Yeah.
And then you go straight to the dinner table and it's oh, the guy's been missing for such and such time. And then she says, oh, by the way, Hannibal, what is in this dish? And it's so blind. He says, if I tell you, I'm afraid you won't eat it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, shit, you killed that guy.
But he would. Him. That's what he'd do. He'd feed that guy to them because they were pretentious people.
Exactly.
So, but...
You eat that person. Oh my god! Even imagine he didn't, and Buffalo Bill did kill him. They're gonna forever think they ate the flute guy when they find out. Yeah. That is so psychologically fucked up. So I love the theory that it wasn't him, and that was just a genuine meal. But then people for the rest of their lives have to think I've just eaten a person.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If someone put some pork belly in front of me and told me it was human afterwards, I wouldn't be throwing up. I'd probably go, oh, that didn't taste like I thought it would if it was supposed to be people. I'm good. I don't want any more. But
yeah, I generally don't know how honest this statement is of myself, but I don't think I would either. I am not one of these people who kind of like, yes, my stomach can drop a bit and I can feel a bit funny, but it's more of a physical thing. It's more of my extremities getting fucking cold, or my hands. It's my hands. I don't know what, like, it's like almost like a nervous thing. I don't know what to do with my hands. And I swear to God, if I feel like I've got a spider crawling up my foot one more time, every 2 seconds, I felt like something has crawled up my foot. Sorry about that. So I get this like nervous thing, but it's never as sickly. The only time I ever felt sick once is when I was genuinely eating. I was having pizza during the scene with the nose. And that did make us feel like, oh no, I don't want to eat right now. I'll wait. That's the only time though.
But genuinely, if someone put people in front of me and it looked like something else and I was unaware it was people, I wouldn't throw up afterwards, because I think it would be more so, like, oh, that's not what I thought it would be like. Or I would be like, oh, that tastes just like pork. I think my brain would go to that rather than freaking out completely about the fact
just fucking ate a ham. And
then maybe a day later, I'll be like, who the fuck did I just eat? And is that person still alive?
Oh my God, that would fuck with your head. What part of them are they? Oh my God.
The belly or the butt? I know that would be the bit that they would serve, because that's the bit that you can disguise the best, I would imagine.
Wow.
So something else.
On that note, let's wrap this bad boy up.
Before I go to prison. I already have my medical human remains behind me, and yes, they are
I'm
all
sorry.
genuine.
I've had a person staring at me the whole entire time. Do we know who he is?
That's Ronnie.
Oh, hi, Ronnie.
We've got Ronnie, Reggie, and Charlie downstairs.
Well, it's nice to meet Ronnie.
They're all ex-medical specimens. So before you call the police, they're actually legally bought from universities and doctors. We have the hand that's been mounted up there. That's a genuine. That's what your hand looks like without any skin on it, and that's your foot. Genuine phalanges.
So, is that what a phalange is?
It's your digits. So your little
Fuck me.
Tiny little toe bones. That's when you break your toe. This is what you break. These tiny little
kids. You are in for a medical treat.
And that's obviously
your
ankle. The heel.
Your heel. That's your heel.
Well, yeah, that's your heel.
And your feet so flat.
So this is obviously old because it's got all the old writing on it from where it was a medical specimen. It's got everything is labelled. It's a metatarsal. You've got so they're all. This is why
that is incredible.
I'm very much a collector of strange shit, as you may well have seen. But this is the thing that gets me the most, right? That, and I don't know if you can see it very well. That tiny, tiny little thing there.
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
I want to say a tooth, but it's only because I'm trying to make out.
Is your tailbone. That's how tiny your tailbone is. Yeah, your coccyx. That's exactly what that is. So,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? It's the tiniest thing in the world. We all have one of these tiny little tailbones.
That is fucking insane.
And therein lies the educational section of
this week's podcast.
Monsters Up North with Danielle.
If you're not getting interesting facts about her fucking life, she's taking you through medical. What's the word I'm looking for? What? That's just like the millionth time I've said this tonight. Medical marvels. And giving you an education while she's at it. Jesus,
I've always been fascinated by the human body. It's
me
always
too, to a certain degree, but it's at a certain stage of life that my fascination starts. Surprisingly, it's death. It very much is. I couldn't give a shit about you're alive. It's when you're dead I'm more interested in.
Yeah.
We need to stop.
Yeah, I've got to stop.
We're going too far. We're letting the weirdness out. We've contained it very well so far.
Scrap that last half an hour. Don't know what I said. Nothing. Don't know nothing.
It didn't happen. Didn't really happen, but it did. And thank you so much for watching our episode of Hannibal Lecter. I hope you've learned some things tonight. If not, very sorry for the last hour and a bit of your time.
Other than Danielle wants to eat. Well, not once.
Danielle doesn't want, but she's not bothered about if she eats a person or not. Couldn't give a shit.
Oh.
So we just know she ain't fussy.
No.
No. Well, next week.
Yes.
Next fucking week. We are not on a Monday.
No, but why is that, Sam? Why is that, Sammy?
Well, it's that magical day that happens every so often. And this time we are going to be covering a great... Oh, God, I can't even introduce it properly. It's Friday the 13th, everyone! And we are covering none other than my favourite, your favourite, everyone's favourite. It's got to be because he's fucking amazing. We are doing Jason. Yes, we are doing it, Mr. Voorhees, and we are coming to you on Friday the 13th. Sorry if you are a Trekking Up North fan and who was expecting an episode that day. You will still get one, but it will not be on Friday, my friends. No.
That's our day.
Taking the spot because we deserve to have a Jason episode out on Friday the 13th. So yes, we will not be here next Monday, but we will be with you on Friday for a great episode on Jason. Following week, we have lots planned too. I'm not going to tell you that now. I'll tell you that later. So thanks very much for watching, everyone. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube, usually on a Monday at 7 o'clock. But next week, remember, I'm going to say it again. Friday, 7 o'clock. Friday the 13th. Just going to say it one more time. Friday the 13th, 7 o'clock. Jason. Yes. Please remember to, like I said, like, share, and subscribe. Find us on iTunes and Spotify. If you can, remember to do the whole hearty thing. Hearts, do the hearts, do the likes, if you can, do reviews. That would be fantastic. 5-star reviews helps it helps out with the algorithm and helps other people find us so we can make more monster friends. Special friends. And with that, everyone, stay nerdy, everyone. Oh, I've done it again. With that, everyone, stay nerdy, everyone. Like, this sounds so stupid. How ridiculous am I? It's been a long day, people. It's been a long week. Once again, my brain's gone to mush. Let's try this one more time. You ready?
Go for it.
Stay nerdy, everyone. Bye.